Hello, everybody, and welcome to New Consciousness Review. I'm Miriam Knight, and our guest today is Lynn Serafinn, the author of a very timely new book, The 7 Graces of Marketing, How to Heal Humanity and the Planet by Changing the Way We Sell. Lynn Serafinn is a certified and award-winning coach and teacher, a marketer, a social media expert, radio host, speaker, and best-selling author. Her eclectic approach to marketing incorporates her vast professional experience in the music industry and the educational sector, along with more than 2 decades of study and practice of the spirituality of India. In her work as a promotional manager, she has produced a long list of best-selling mind, body, spirit authors, and she's passionate about reestablishing our connection with the earth. In that, she supports the work of the Transition Town Network in her hometown of Bedford, England. Lynn, I am so pleased to have you with us today.
Thanks, Miriam. I'm pleased to be here.
You know, I rather glossed over it in my introduction, but you have the most extraordinary background. I'm not surprised that your book is so rich and deep. What compelled?
I was just going to say, extraordinary backgrounds happen when you get old. It's like
you just have to live long enough.
Yeah, you just have to live long enough and things happen. Yeah. So, and what was your question?
Well, I wanted to know why you wrote the book.
The reasons why I started the book are not the reasons why, how it ended up and why I'm passionate about it now. Actually, the original reasons why I was thinking, why I decided to write the book was that I had been coaching. It seemed like my niche was holistic practitioners. I had so many holistic practitioners in my coaching practice who all hated to do marketing, and that was curious to me why they hated to do marketing. What was it about it? But then I realized that having come from an artistic background, I had lived years as a starving artist. I was a freelance musician. I had a small record label and studio, and just had done the marketing for us for years, dealing with distributors and retail shops and events organizers and blah blah blah, and magazines and whatnot. And I'd done the marketing for years, and never quite understood it on a bigger scale. Then when I was a coach, I realized that I also started to hate marketing because I was involved in business networks where there was an awful lot of stress put on it. I noticed that I was actually getting stressed out with all the 60-second pitches in the business networks and everything. And I couldn't figure out what was going on, but I had a feeling it had something to do with the holistic practitioners. So, the thing that I latched on to very early was that there was a lot of fear in marketing, and I could tell that this is what was going against the grain with the holistic practitioners. So my original idea for the book was that this would be something to show people who hated marketing why they hated it, to take a good look at all of the unconscious things that were going on and why they hated it, and to offer solutions for to embrace it, because they were going out of business, and I didn't, and I believed in their businesses, and I didn't want them to go out of business. That is not that. While that intention is in the book in its seminal aspect of it, it is not what the book ended up being, and it's really not what the book is about. Because as I started researching it, I got into really looking at the whole history of marketing, how it paralleled the rise of mass production and technology, how it has impacted our economy, our health, our environment, and it became a monster that I was like just so, oh my God, this is a really huge issue, and I felt very small in the face of this big issue. And I said, how am I supposed to come up with solutions and blah, 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 to heal the world and all this stuff? And finally I said, you know what, I'm not. I'm not supposed to come up with the solutions. I'm supposed to ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. And the book starts out, the first line of the book is, this is a book of questions, not a manual of answers, because I can't save the world. We people have made this mess. We people have done this to ourselves. We people collectively, collaboratively, compassionately have to come and look at these issues in a holistic way and really understand that marketing, The book opens with the question, is marketing making us ill? And I think after 414 pages of my book, you come away with the answer to the question that yes, it is. And yes, we have the ability to fix this. And not only do we have the ability to fix this, we have the responsibility to fix this now.
Well, you know, the passion in your voice, I think, explains how this seemingly modest idea grew into over 400 pages. It's almost like a core dump of your entire history and interaction with the marketing world and with the business world.
Partially, but I also spent 2 years researching it, Miriam. It's not, I didn't want just a passion dump, so to speak. Great term. I'll borrow that. Do you mind? But I didn't want it just to be that. I remember sitting down and I was saying, I don't want this just to be me and my experience. I want this to be about the actual issues. And I would sit down and I would start saying, I wonder what this is. Like I got an idea in my head. I wonder if there's a relationship between the rise of lung cancer and the introduction of mass production of cigarettes. I wonder if there's a relationship between that and certain marketing campaigns. And you know what I found out? Yes. There were correlations, exact correlations, because, for instance, lung cancer takes 30 years to manifest from somebody becoming, let's say they start becoming a habitual smoker. It takes 30 years for it to manifest. And I saw clearly the correlation of different periods of time where cancer appeared in certain portions of the population, mainly women, I have to say, having to do with paralleling with certain key marketing campaigns that were targeted specifically at certain groups. There's also, I look at fast food, I look at the car industry, I look at a lot of different things. And I keep saying in the book, I'm not trying to take down any one industry. What I'm trying to get us to look at is the holistic impact of what's going on. We think companies are making a profit, but that's only if we're looking at our companies as isolated entities outside the ecosystem of who we are. When we look at our society as an ecosystem, a whole ecosystem, meaning an economic system and an ecological system, profits from, a lot of the big businesses that we have are not actually making our society wealthy. They're actually costing our society money and lives, and also the environment. And so this, to me, was important to show people how marketing actually is compelling us to, over the past century, to buy things that we didn't actually ever have a need for before, and not only buy them, but buy them at regular intervals through certain things that I talk about in the book.
Planned obsolescence.
Planned obsolescence and things like that compel us to buy more than we actually need. And also manipulating different emotions like fear, feelings of sexual inadequacy, sexual identity, and also using different distracting techniques and out and out deceptive techniques. So the book then became this almost historic treatise, or at least the first part of the book is, on how we got where we are. And then I dissect what are the elements that I see, and I call them the 7 deadly sins. What are the elements I see that are creating these imbalances? And then, of course, I have to, introduce the 7 graces. And I actually didn't think of them. They appeared to me when I was trying to when I was preparing for a talk I was going to give a couple of years ago on the subject of spiritual marketing, for lack of a better word. And I said, you know what, I don't have a paradigm. I don't actually know what I want to say. And I literally sat down and just kind of meditated on it, and bang. Number 7, great number, love the number. And these 7 graces appeared. And then immediately I saw what the sins were. And suddenly the book hadn't been written yet, but I knew what it was about. Then it began a year and a half more process of researching it. I mean, there's 20 pages of references in the book, for heaven's sake. So this is not just my life gurgle, but I didn't want it to be that. But I do draw upon a lot of my background, as you mentioned in the beginning, not just about being in the music industry, but I also draw upon some of the studies I've done on ancient Sanskrit spiritual treatises that talk about society. They're not about God or this or that. They're talking about society. They're talking about how society needs to behave as a unit in order to be beneficial for everybody. And so I do draw upon that quite a bit. And I also go quite a bit into the origins of the words that we use. I look at how we've collapsed beliefs, how marketing is really not about the selling of products, it's about the selling of beliefs. And also how we've confused capitalism with democracy, because they're not the same thing. Nor is our capitalism today necessarily what capitalism was when it was created. And certainly marketing has played a hand in our adopting certain beliefs that are really making our society ill, economically bereft, and making our society physically ill.